Immigration and deprivation is causing UK public to lose faith in politicians, says Raider. The Deputy PM says the government must show it's helping people. Lose faith. We lost faith 14 years ago when we voted Conservative, but we got more of the same old gibbering left-wing open borders nonsense from the globalist sociopaths that ruled the world. Our faith's already gone, but it gets worse, doesn't it? Because all we see today in social media, in the news, on YouTube, is the same stuff. And they're all in agreement. It's massively going to kick off. Even the lefty Guardian, usually flag bearers for the woke project, they've conceded the UK is a powder keg of social tensions a year on from the summer riots. And research finds that a third of people rarely meet anyone from a different background. Yeah, it's not going well, is it? And at the Daily Mail, they were a bit more honest about what the problem is and what's going to happen. We've been silenced on mass migration and the nation's furious. All it will take is one spark and Tinderbox Britain will go up in flames by Frank Furedi. Yeah, so what do you think the government's amazing plan is to stop the fact that everyone's enraged and furious that Mr. Rudu Kanubu got to kill all those innocent little children because the government's been importing the angry men to do it and then lying about it? What do you think the government's plan is in response to all these headlines about how the general public is in a furious rage because we've been silenced on mass migration? What do you think the government's plan is? No idea? Well, I'll tell you, it's genius. It's a genius plan. The public's about to go off it and whip out the guillotines because they've been silenced. And what do you think the government's plan is? Britain's war on speech comes for the pub. The UK speech police have that most British tradition in their crosshairs, banter. Yeah, the government's plan to people being enraged about the killing of children and them being aggressively silenced from talking about it is to ban us from talking about it in the pub. I'm sure that'll calm things down a bit. Right, this is a fantastic story, and I figured we'd cover it because everyone should read it, and nobody reads these days, do they? So I thought I'll walk through it in my usual calm and relaxed manner, and then you'll actually get the meat of it. And it was written by a bloke with impeccable credentials. The most wise of people, as I keep telling you, are historians, because nothing is new under the sun. Everything's just repeating constantly. And if you're really into history, you become almost like a prophet because you know what's coming. You know what's coming. It's why people like David Starkey are so prescient, because historians really know what's what. All this stuff's happened before and it's going to happen again. And trust me when I tell you this, banning and silencing all the things doesn't make people calm down. No, they're not that daft. And I don't know who thought of this. People are enraged because they're getting silenced on immigration. So the government goes, I know, they're talking about it in the pubs. Yeah, we might control all the airwaves and the radio networks and the TV stations and the printed media, but they're talking about it in the pub. And then some genius goes, okay, let's ban talking about things in the pub. And they go, yeah, that'll work. Again, because these people are lack-wits. They're mal-educated. They don't know anything. They don't know anything from the past. And that's why they constantly make a pig's ear out of everything. So we're going to walk through this story because it's interesting. The man's got impeccable credentials. Renowned historian, member of the Royal Society, knows what he's talking about. Let's walk through the latest ingenious scheme to calm everybody down a bit. The war on free speech is about to violate the most sacred recesses of British life. Not the home or the workplace, but the pub. On the night of Wednesday, July 16th, the Labour government's Employment Rights Bill passed its second reading in the House of Lords. If the bill goes into law in its current form, and there is not much to stop it, Britons can be prosecuted for a remark that a worker in a public space overhears or finds insulting. The law will apply to pubs, clubs, restaurants, football grounds, and all the other places where the country gathers and all too frequently ridicules one another. Yeah, and the politicians. Don't forget about them. The bill has been dubbed the Banter Bill in a last-stand flourish of native wit, but it's no joke. It is further proof of the state-sponsored decline of free speech in Britain, a decline rightly criticised by J.D. Vance, who, despite the demands of his day job, still finds time for some forthright banter on X. The legislation pushed for by Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is a wish list for white-collar trade unions and human rights lawyers, the groups that control the Labour Party. It is also being cheered by the killjoys of the Lib Dem Party and the Lords Spiritual, the bishops who sit in the House of Lords for reasons that seemed sensible in the 14th century. Again, very apt, isn't it? Because we keep saying this whole controlling power-mad woke thing, it's just like being in a religious organisation. They're like a cult. So it's very apt that the Lords Spiritual are on board, isn't it? The government says the bill will enhance workers' rights, everything about the rights. A line in Clause 20 of the bill proposes that employers must take all reasonable steps to prevent staff from non-specific harassment in the course of their employment. But sexual harassment and workplace harassment are already illegal, and so is spreading malicious rumours, or picking on or undermining someone, or denying someone training or promotion on the grounds of age, sex, disability, gender, marital status, pregnancy, maternity, race, religion, belief, or sexual orientation. So everything then, everything. You've all heard the old adage, if everyone's in charge, no one's in charge, right? Well, it's the same with this stuff. They did it with hate crime laws. It started out with like a tiny thing like, oh, it's a hate crime if you beat someone to death just because they're black. Now, if everything is a protected characteristic, nothing is a protected characteristic. Think of that. What's protected? If it's age, sex, disability, gender again, I guess because it's reassignment, marital status. Has anyone ever been picked on for that? Have you ever seen a bunch of rowdy blokes in the pub? Look at that, divorced wanker. Oy. Is that a thing? Is it? No, they're just inventing them. Just to cover every single base and render the whole thing worthless in the first place. Pregnancy and maternity, race, religion, belief, sexual... It's ludicrous. But this bill makes it so if you work somewhere and a member of the public in the place you work just randomly says something to a friend, it doesn't even have to be at you, but you take offence to it, an offence is taken, not given, anyone can get offended by anything, well, guess what? The government think they can control that as well. The thought police are in the house. And if you're an employer, well, it's going to make it even more impossible to run a business, which is what I was talking about yesterday. Everything they do is authoritarian and tyrannical, and worst of all, toxic to the economy and allowing people to get on with their lives unmolested and try and make some money. Where the Banter Bill strikes new ground is by making employees liable for employees' feelings about their customers. It will allow employees to define harassment under the lowest of thresholds, taking offence. If a server feels offended when a drinker in a pub says there's too much immigration, a sentiment shared by almost everyone. Or if a bartender feels offended when someone makes a rude joke about a drag queen, then their employer will be legally liable for hurt feelings. Business-minded critics call this a regulatory throttling of Britain's already stagnant economy. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But it also might lead to the most authoritarian throttling of speech in the UK since World War II. The Banter Bill is an assault on the basic freedoms that emerged by public consensus over the course of centuries. Free speech is an English invention. It doesn't come from a constitution, it comes from the people. The idea of ancient liberties pre-existed the Magna Carta and Milton's defence of a free press in Areopagitica. The custom of free speech in the Commons pre-existed legal establishment in the Bill of Rights. An attack on free speech is an attack on the English way of life. Just as ancient liberties preceded modern laws, so does the pub act as the foundation of that life. And the right to state your free opinion is as much a part of the pub as the right to sit alone and undisturbed in the corner. Yeah. I'll put the article in full in the comments so you can read it. It's good stuff. Very logical and rational and 100% correct. You know where the rot started, in my opinion? Is when we banned smoking in pubs. And I don't even smoke. I prefer pubs without smoking them. But I've always argued on behalf of the smokers because I'm a bit contrarian like that. Because think about it. My argument was always the fact that if some old bloke who fought in World War II wants to sit in his favourite pub, do a crossword and smoke his pipe, he should be allowed to do it. But we decided that the 19-year-old barmaid can just decide that that upsets her. I shouldn't have to work in a pub. Well, don't work in a pub then. If you don't like smoke, go and work somewhere else. Go and do a hard job. Go and chisel Johnnies off the sewer walls in London. Oh no, that's right. 99.99% of them are men, aren't they? Sorry, blokes do that. Go be a logger. Oh no, they're all men as well. Bin man. Oh yeah, no, they're all men as well. Okay, so you just want to stand in a pub and do nought other than pester old blokes who fought for the country. Yeah, great idea. And now they get to decide what I'm allowed to talk about. Think of that. The rot started with this. Pinko, nicey nice, 1990s Tony Blair, peace and love man, wibbly wobbly bollocks that nobody with two brain cells to rub together gives a flying shite about. If you don't want to be around people that talk, banter, have a sense of humour, gently mock each other, don't work somewhere where people do it. The government thinking this is going to help is hysterical. This might be the thing that tips us over the edge, because I've always said that. The normies don't switch on. The normies don't. Things have got to get appalling before the normies care, because they'll just stay home, watch Netflix and keep door-dashing kebabs to fill the fat faces with. But when you take something like the pub, things will kick off. As I've always said, the normies won't do anything about all the regulars from Alan's Snack Bar taking over everything, but I bet they'd go off it if they suddenly went, oh, okay, we're just going to ban alcohol then. Yeah, you can't go to Wetherspoons and we're banning pints. Then they'd care. So this might be a blessing in disguise. This might be something that tips us over the edge. Because Joe Public doesn't care about much, but they care about the pub. Oh yes, telling them they can't have a bit of crack with their mates and have a pint, that may just be enough to tip them over the edge when little girls getting a knife in the face wasn't. All right? Anyway, I'll leave it there. You can read the rest yourself. I'll be doing a live scene tomorrow at 7 p.m. and I'm on with Rags and Jack on Sunday, so I'll be around all weekend. If you don't turn up, it's fine. I'll see you on Monday, all right? Have a fantastic weekend. Remember, don't go mental and give the Rozzers an excuse to nick you for throwing a can at something. Have a good weekend. Have a drink. Enjoy yourselves and keep enjoying banter while it's legal. Thanks for tuning in. See you later. Toodle pip. Cheers.